Hi everyone, my name's Sammy and I want to start by welcoming you all to Hook, Wine and Stitches. Now we're going to start with the very basics of crochet. I highly recommend starting out with a mid-range hook, so something between a 5 and a 6. You can see I'm using a 5.2mm. and a nice chunkier yarn. This is an Aran weight, so mid-range, a number 4 or 5, depending what scale you use and what exact type of yarn you get. You can see that it is a lot thicker than the yarn that's been used in this square. So the first thing we need to do is to learn how to attach the yarn to our crochet hook. And I'm just going to pause for a moment, adjust my camera angle so it's a little bit easier for you to see. Closer in now, good lighting so we can see what we're doing. So I've got the end of my yarn. I'm going to loop it around a few of my fingers, hold the tail and the loop at the same time, put my fingers through the loop and grab the part that's left from the end and give it a little pull. So we're just making a slip knot. Can place that over my hook and tighten it up. And slip knot's great because we won't keep slipping as we start our chain, and it won't come undone once we have chains after it. So chaining is the first thing we need to do as a foundation for any work that we're doing in rows, and sometimes if we're working from the center. So we're just going to pop the yarn over our hook from the back to the front and use the hook to pull it through the slip stitch. Yarn over from the back to the front and pull it through that first chain loop that we've made. Yarn over from the back to the front and pull it through the loop we just created. Yarn over, pull it through. Yarn over, pull it through, and you can see we're making a nice chain there. Yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, and pull it through. So we're going to continue that till we get it looking nice and consistent. Now if yours is looking a little bit wonky, that's purely just a tension issue with your yarn and how tightly you're pulling it every time you pull it through a loop. So practice that a few times till you've got a few chains there, and I'll meet you back here ready to show you how to do a single crochet, which we'll be working back through this chain because it'll be our foundation stitch. I'll see you in a moment. Okay, I'm back. Changed my background up. I would be really happy to hear which you prefer as a background, the black or the white, which makes it a little bit easier for you to see what we are doing. So I've just done a chain of 20. That's rather a small chain, but it's going to serve our purpose to show you how to move on with your next row. So once your chain has reached the desired length, to work back in a single crochet, you're going to do an extra chain of 1. And that is so that our yarn is at the right height to make our stitch sit properly. I'm going to pop our hook through the first chain space. You can see I've gone through both sides. So there's one at the bottom, 2 on the top. And to yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull it through the 2 stitches. And that's our first single crochet. So we're going to continue working them all the way across the chain. So we're going into the next chain loop. I'm going to get in nice and close on this. So I'm pushing my hook through. You can see I've got the front and the back loop on my hook, yarning over from the back to the front, pulling it through the chain, yarning over again, and pulling through both loops on my hook. Inserting my hook into my chain space, again ensuring I have both the front and the back loop on my hook, yarning over from the back to the front, pulling that loop through the chain, yarning over and pulling through both. And that is a single crochet. Now, if you're struggling to get your hook through your chain, it will be because your tension is a little bit tight. And a habit that I've gotten into, because I am a bit of a tight hooker, is to go up a hook size. So if you're working your project with a size 5, go up to a size 6 just to do that foundation chain. And then when we're ready to work our stitches, whether they be single, doubles, popcorns, whatever, change it back down to the 5 that your project requires. Just keeps these chain spaces a little looser so that we can get our hook through more easily to pull up our yarn and complete our stitch. I'll just show you that stitch a couple more times. Pushing through our chain, making sure we get the front and the back loop of our chain, yarning over, pulling back through the chain, yarning over again, and pulling through both loops. Into the next chain space, pushing our hook in, front and back loop on our hook, still a loop at the bottom, yarning over, pulling through the chain, yarning over and pulling through both stitches, to both loops to complete our stitch. Into our next chain, pulling up a loop, yarning over, pulling through 2. Into our chain, yarning over, pulling up the loop, yarning over and pulling through 2. So I'll let you guys finish off that row. Do as many rows as you like. I will meet you back here to show you how to finish off the row and move on to your next one. Okay, I've finished working my row of single crochet. I have 1 stitch left in my row. So I'm going to do the same thing, insert my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And that puts a single crochet into every stitch that I created on my chain. Now, something I'll mention here before we move on is that it's really important, if you want nice straight sides, to keep track of how many stitches you have done. So I did 20, and if I count them off now, I know I've got 20 single crochet. So my sides are going to stay nice and straight on my project. Now to move forward and work another row of single crochet from here, we're going to chain 1 and then turn our work over completely, because we're always working from the right to the left if we're right-handed, or the left to the right if we are left-handed. So I've done my chain 1, which gets my yarn to the same height as the stitch I want to create. I'm going to go into the very first stitch, so the top of a single crochet, making sure I get both loops, the front and the back, on my hook, yarning over to pull up a loop, yarning over and pulling through 2 to create our first single crochet of the row. So for a single crochet, the chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. Moving on, we insert our hook into the next stitch, ensuring we get both loops, front and back, on our hook. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. We continue that all of the way along as we did before. So when I finish this row, I will have 2 rows of single crochet. Of course, it's up to you. Once you're feeling comfortable with the single crochet method, I will meet you back here after completing this row to show you how to do a half double crochet stitch. I'm just going to get a nice close-up of what those stitches look like. So they're single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 have been completed there into the tops of the 8 single crochet from the previous row. You can see with my turning chain that I have a nice straight side happening. I will meet you back here when you have finished the row that you are working on and you're ready to learn a half double crochet. See you all soon. Okay, finished practicing our single crochet and we're ready to start learning our half double crochet stitch. Before we do that, I just wanted to show you, so at the beginning of a row, once we've turned and we do our short chain, we've been doing 1. And as I explained, that single chain brings our yarn up to the height so our stitch will sit properly and allows us to turn our work. Now with a half double crochet, we need to increase that. I've done a couple of stitches in a different colour to show you why. So my yarn behind, it's very hard to demonstrate. Okay, just going to pull that up. Our single crochet stitch sits at half the height. These are half doubles I've done. You can see the dramatic difference in height. So we need to bring our yarn up higher. I'm just going to frog this. Frogging ribbit ribbit is when we rip it, when we pull our work apart. So you will see it mentioned on a lot of crochet forums. I'm going to frog these couple of stitches as well to get back to our last single crochet in the previous row. I'll pop my hook back in. Now because we're wanting to do half double crochet instead of singles, I'm going to do a chain of 2 after turning my work. Now on the previous rows with our chain 1, we worked straight into the first stitch. Working larger stitches, we skip that stitch and our chain will count as the first stitch. Now working into the second stitch, to do a half double crochet, we will first yarn over from the back to the front. We will insert our hook into the stitch, yarn over again, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on our hook. So half double crochet, we yarn over from the back to the front. We insert our hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. So we've got 3 on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. Yarn over, insert our hook, making sure of course to have the front and the back loop of the stitch from the previous row on our hook. Ooh, there we go, that's better. Yarn over again, pull up a loop, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. So we yarn over, we insert our hook, ensuring we go through the front and the back loop of our stitch from the previous round. we yarn over again, we pull that through the stitch, we yarn over, and we pull through all 3 loops on our hook. And that is our half double crochet stitch. So it's a little harder to see when it's all in one colour, but if I put my finger next to it for scale, you can see a single crochet with this yarn is about the width of the end of my nail, and a half double is nearly twice that. So let's continue. Let's continue doing those half double crochets all the way across. So yarning over, inserting into the next stitch, yarning over, pulling up a loop, 3 on our hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. So continue that all the way to the end, of course popping a stitch into the last stitch. I'll meet you back here to show you how to start and finish a half double crochet row once again. We'll need to do this again because where we've turned here, we've used 2 stitches, 2 chains rather, which we're using to replicate the stitch at the start of the row, and I'd like to show you the exact spot to pop your stitch when you're finishing the next row. I'll see you back here soon. Okay, I finished my first row of half double crochet, so you can see, well, it's a little further away, just how much bigger the half double crochet is as compared to the single. Now I'm at the end of the row, so because we're going to be working half double crochet again, we are chaining 2 and turning our work over. Now, if you're working a half double crochet into a foundation chain, so you've done your chain to your desired length. Last time we added 1 extra stitch to do a single crochet, so we were working in the second chain space from the hook, chain loop from the hook rather. Because it's a half double crochet and we need a chain of 2 to turn, we would be skipping 2 chain loops and working in the 3rd one from the hook. So I've done my chain of 2, remembering that counts as a stitch. So we skip this first one and work our half double crochet into the second, and then 1 into each stitch all the way across our work. I'll let you guys finish practicing that stitch. And I will meet you back here to show you where we put our final stitch at the end of the row, where we're working into a chain 2 space, because we don't want to put it into the hole there between the chain and the first stitch. It will leave a gap in our work and break the beautiful symmetry that we are creating with our stitches. So I'll meet you back here to show you the end of that. Okay, we've reached the end of our second row. So I've worked into my last stitch, and now there's the chain space that's serving as the final stitch of the row. So I'm going to yarn over like I would a normal stitch. I'm going to go into the second loop of that starting chain, pull through a loop, and finish my stitch. You can see that's keeping those sides nice and straight. This one looks a little off because it is the chain space, so we'll be doing the same method, working into this second loop of that chain here to finish off the stitch and get a nice straight edge without leaving a gap in our project. Let's start our next row as a double crochet. So we did 1 chain for a single, 2 for a half double. Now we're doing a double, we're going to do a chain of 3 and turn our work. A chain of 3 is serving as our first double crochet, so we're going to yarn over, insert into the second hook, pull up a loop, yarn over. Now with a half double we pulled through all 3 loops With a double, we're going to pull it through just the 2. So we've got 2 left on our hook. We're going to yarn over again, pull through those remaining 2 to complete our double crochet. So we yarn over, insert our hook and bring up a loop. We yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through the last 2. And that is a double crochet. Yarning over, back to the front, popping our hook through our next stitch, yarning over and pulling up a loop, yarning over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 to complete the stitch. Alright, I'll leave you guys to practice those stitches. I can't wait to see all of your work. I can't wait to hear if you prefer the black or the white background, what makes it easier for you to see what I am demonstrating while I'm filming. Until next time, have a fantastic day and happy hooking.